beyond the Ghostlight.
Hey! How's everybody doing? Sports theme.
It's cold as witch's tea out there. But yes, everyone's, I think, lovely.
Good. Excellent.
I notice you both have dark spots under the eyes. I think we're all tired these days, right? It's a thing. But yes, hi everyone. If this is your first time watching, my name's Nick. We have Luna and Tori here. So tell us about how we're looking today. We're kind of thematically dressed today for something that, if we're honest, all three of us are a little shaky on. So, why don't you tell us about it, Tori?
It's I guess it's the football season. I guess they say today is the bowl of super varieties, the Super Bowl. And so we figured we'd honor that by having a special time today, 5 instead of 6, because does anybody out there, please drop it in the comments. Is the Super Bowl at 6:30 or at 7? Like, is the pre-show at 6:30 and the Super Bowl's at 7? Let us know, drop it in the chat so that we know, because we don't know, because we're not necessarily sports ball people. I don't know. What about you, Luna?
So this is my absolute favorite advertising day. I forgot that there's a game today. Thank you again for reminding me. I do, in honor of the occasion, have memoriam of the greatest Super Bowl halftime show of all time. But that's as far as it extends, guys. I have a Detroit Baseball's Tiger shirt on because that's the most football gear I've got in my closet. So I am curious and excited to see what funny commercials we get to talk about on Monday. That's always my favorite part.
Always. That's that. And this, I mean, I do like the halftime show too. I do like the halftime show. It's the commercials and the halftime show.
Who's doing this year?
No idea.
Cool. Okay. It's a surprise.
We're just really good on this. This is really in our wheelhouse. So I went looking for football people to somehow, if it was rugby, I would be on a firmer ground. So I went looking, and then I found a picture of a guy who's apparently a great sports player. His name is Joe Namath. I realize that I'm talking like this, and there are people possibly looking at this like going, "What the hell?" But I'm not from around these parts, and yeah. Anyway, but Joe Namath wore a lot of fur, so I appreciate that. I'm pretty sure his fur was not of the faux variety like this jacket is, but he wore a lot of that, and I appreciate that look. And he was apparently known as Broadway Joe, so that's Broadway theater. Hey. And so this is a tribute to a sports person who I'm basically that person who goes to a car dealership and goes, interesting technical details. I'll have the orange one. So, yes.
I love it. Well, good job, everybody. Way to stay on theme. And I think we've got a couple of amazing guests coming in today to talk with us, postponing their pregame party until a little bit later. So, again, huge thank you and shout out. We've got Jack Doerer and Robert Young joining us today. 2 amazing artists and actors and a director in the area who've been working on a fantastic film. I'm super excited to talk about Batman today. I don't know about you guys. But I also know that Jack's background is a little bit in finance as well. And so excited to hear a perspective right now that's a little different, maybe, than maybe some of our other actors in the area right now. So, hey, Jack, welcome on.
Hi, thank you for having me on, everyone. It's great to be here. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, coming through, Rob.
And to hear you, Robert.
Yes, sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. I don't know if you can only hear me or can you see me or just hear me?
We can hear you. We don't see your face, but we hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I guess we'll just have to do audio. I'll just have to be a man of mystery, but it's great to be on the show. I appreciate the opportunity.
Typecasting, right? You're the man of
Yeah.
mystery anyway, so that's perfect. Well, thank you again, fellas. We really appreciate you coming on with us today. And yeah, how are you guys celebrating the Super Bowl tonight?
I'm just celebrating with some of my friends. Just gonna watch it, hoping the Buccaneers win. So that would be great to see.
For sure, Robert.
I'm not going to. I'm not a Super Bowl guy. I just have a lot of video and other artistic stuff I have to do. So this is the extent of my Super Bowl connection. This show. So thank you very much for getting me involved.
Hey, appreciate the commitment. I know that we're going to see some really exciting stuff out of you sitting and editing for a little while. So thank you, appreciate that.
Yes.
Tori, you want to start us off? I know we had initially when we talked about bringing you guys on. First of all, Robert and Jack, you've been in production for Batman Friendly Fire, a new Batman flick coming out I believe we're going to be wrapping up production midsummer. We're really excited to have you on about that. And Tori, I know we had some questions for Jack, where it started with maybe Jack's financial.
All right. I do believe we had a little bit of a fade out there at the end. If I could just repeat what you said, you were talking about Jack's financial background.
Yeah, sorry guys. I seem to be glitching a little bit today, so I think things are in the air.
Yeah, the internet.
Apologize, y'all. But basically, I was transitioning us from talking about a wonderful Batman flick that we are making, and that these two lovely gentlemen have created, but steering us to finances, actually, and talking with Jack a little bit about his background as an actor. Sorry, everyone. I'm going to put myself on mute.
It's all good. It's the gremlins. The gremlins are in the wires today. It's nobody's fault. That's just, it happens. So Jack, let me ask you, as an actor studying finance and entrepreneurship, I find this very intriguing, me personally. What unique difficulties do you think that actors face when it comes to starting and maintaining a business? And I mean that especially when the product is essentially you, like you are the thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a unique background. I feel like to have. I definitely did not starting college. Did not think that this would be something I would pursue. Just I don't know. I kind of stumbled upon it, and I found that it's a real passion of mine, and it gives me a good background. I would say, especially when establishing, like you said, a personal brand, because I feel like the difficulty, just like anything, is kind of trying to figure out where to start. So the idea is that the brand is yourself and you're trying to create that. And that's going to be more complex than, a business product usually. And it's going to be more personal than a business product. So that's something that can be difficult when trying to figure out kind of how to establish yourself. But right now, I figure, and I believe that it's kind of, instead of trying to figure out what the next move is, it's good to take kind of more of an introspective approach and kind of figure out what can you do now with what you have to make yourself better, to make yourself ready for that next opportunity. So I feel like that is kind of something with my entrepreneur background, learning how to start businesses, kind of learn how it takes time, making a business plan. So kind of having a plan, making a roadmap for yourself, setting goals, setting specific goals, because otherwise then it's kind of just up in the air and you're not going to, be able to kind of, focus on what it is you're actually chasing and focus what it is that you actually want for yourself, unless you start creating those goals. And it's really just starting anywhere. I feel like that's really the most, the hard part, just to start anywhere. So I feel like that is make a plan, start somewhere, and kind of list out maybe like the strengths and weaknesses that you have with yourself. Just like a business, you got to see based on your competitors what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. And if you can make some of the same kind of analysis with yourself, I think that's another great tool to kind of figure out where your strengths might lie and maybe what you enjoy doing the best. So I hope that helps. Yeah, but
yeah, no,
I
I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate the idea of making a roadmap, right?
Mhm.
Because a lot of times you don't get that kind of an education when you go to school for performing arts. You get told kind of like you have to audition, you have to get an agent or things like that. Like there's a path and you have to go that path, as opposed to designing your own, as opposed to creating your own industry with yourself. So I really like that point of view. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries.
So Nick, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah. Okay. So, everyone's sort of pushed for money right now, obviously. So, what advice do you have for artists to stretch their money, stretch that dime with these very uncertain times? We're hearing more about finance coming and relief packages and stuff, but we still don't really have a lot of those right now. So this is a big concern, particularly for those who work in the arts.
So I guess as much as is stretching the time, I know everyone's definitely. I mean, that's something I'm trying to personally do as well right now with everything going on, because it's a difficult situation for everyone. I would say it's from from financing again in a business background. You got to look at what you have sometimes instead of trying to figure out what you don't have. Something we've learned in a lot of cases we've seen in schools that, a lot of companies will try to outgrow themselves too quickly and try to constantly, go on to the next thing. And I think that's a similar pitfall that you could have yourself, is trying to just constantly, as I mentioned before, chasing the next thing. So I guess just trying to, whatever source of income, you can get right now, just keep trying to maintain that and work on yourself, the content that you can create. I know there's not a lot of productions going on right now, and I was very fortunate to find Batman Friendly Fire to work on with Robert here. But I'm consistently trying to work on monologues right now and trying to find different monologues that I want to work on. I'm writing down, different characters maybe I want to try to develop, creating them. Just building your resume, building your repertoire, even though you may not be able to put that down as a physical job on paper. If you can spend time within yourself and just learn more about yourself, develop that, figure out who you are and who you want to be on stage, I think that will help, because when money does start coming around and opportunities do start coming around, then you'll be ready. You'll be ready for that opportunity rather than trying to figure out what that is now. Sometimes you got to do, and again, it comes back what I like to say with the roadmap and the business plan is, if you put in the time to do the preparation and you're not worried about always the end result, and you focus on the process, the results will come. You just got to put the time into it. So you just got to hang in there. I think there's a benefit right now that there's a lot of jobs with flexibility right now, and kind of gig jobs with the different food delivery services. And I personally would also recommend possibly getting into investing and checking out some of the options there. But any way you can get money would be great. And then just, save, wait for that, and work more on, I would say, developing yourself and working on having opportunities ready, so that when someone does, want your name, or when they are asking for your next opportunity, you're ready and you have multiple things to give them, and you can show them that you've been working on something and you've been developing yourself during this tough time where maybe not everybody else is.
Can I interject? I was just want to say that in doing this project, even though this is not necessarily a big money maker for anybody, what we're benefiting from is getting a network of people together. We have very talented people Jack with his financial background, and you know, the cinematographers, the stunt coordinators. We even have an actor who is a professional opera singer, and he, you know, all of this cross pollination can lead to other people getting other opportunities and opening doors for each other. You know, what you want to do when you're starting out and you're poor and you're unknown is you want to build a network, a strong network of people who believe in you and who want to rise with you, and who may be connected to that next donor, that next person who can be the stepping stone. So, you know, it's not just one and done, because I think with a lot of artists starting out in particular, they just say, oh well, I'm just going to audition, and you know, someday I'll be a star or something, or somebody will give me a big break. But no, it's just like any other business. You have to grow, and you have to rise together, have the network, have the strength to weather the thin times, and then you get to the thicker times, and then hopefully you save your money and you learn. And the other important thing is, learning financial literacy as early as you can, so that you can manage and not fall into destitution when you're broke, and then when you're doing better, you don't spend it all away. You don't make pig-headed, wrong-headed decisions with your money. Yeah, a lot of artists tend to be very emotional with money, and they say, "Oh, well, it's here today, gone tomorrow." But if you have to really save for a rainy day, because there may be a time when you aren't employed, or you're not employable, and you need to eat. And it also helps to have, again, that network who can make let you stay on their couch for a minute if you were really desperate, or give you a few meals. I mean, even during this production, I've been very fortunate to have had the kindness of strangers and friends help me out when things were kind of tough. So it does take a group of people. You don't do it alone.
Yeah. Plus, also, speaking of prepping for possible fatter times, thicker times, I'm sure you've seen about the moves to maybe bring the film incentive back. I think we're all fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that film incentive possibly coming back? Do you think that it will?
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a possibility. It is not a guarantee. But it really depends on the state of COVID, the state of people's health, and the hunger people want for Michigan-based films. Because when the incentive was here the first time, it was because, of course, Michigan had these beautiful places to film, and we were they were getting the tax breaks, and Hollywood was kind of the hot new thing. And the second time around, it may not. Basically, film is a business, and they're going to want to make sure that they can come in and not have crews get sick, and not have skyrocketing insurance, because they have to make sure that everybody stays safe. I think that it's what we're looking at now is figuring out how to make filming more innovative and more personal. With the technology we have now, I mean, it's not the 90s anymore, where you have to have a film camera, or you can make. I mean, there have been award-winning films being made on iPhones, and you just you can get to 4K with them, and you can keep going up the food chain. So there's really no excuse to being able to make a film, and being able to compete with Hollywood. The question is, having a platform to get it out there, and then having a way to monetize that. And that might be something that Jack could speak to more in terms of how you kind of cut out the studios, and you figure out how to market to them. But I'll throw that to Jack.
Yeah, no, so that's a good one. I guess with so many different platforms that are available to watch content today, it's, I think, more than ever easier to access, kind of different types of media from, all kinds of different locations. So, right now, with the film we're working on, me and Robert have talked about trying to possibly promote it through a local bar in Detroit. We've mentioned also trying to do YouTube and possibly some other platforms. But in terms of promoting it, I think it's important just to have, I guess, the best package ready. So whether that's kind of a short trailer that kind of highlights the production value of the film, or other effects, best moments that you can really try to highlight to get someone interested in it. Because when pitching this, you got to understand where the person who wants to invest with you, where they're coming from, because they're sitting there and they're trying to figure out, well, can they make money from this? What is the angle? Why do it? So in our case right now, when maybe you're making something that doesn't have the opportunity, I guess, to produce a ton of money, the other option is to maybe offer, like maybe different, going forward, different businesses in the future, if they maybe want to be sponsored, be part of the film, and maybe you want to participate that way. So in terms of trying to promote it, there are also ways you can do monetarily, but in terms of trying to get people to be involved, volunteering, that's a good step at first, when right now you're trying to make something, you don't have a lot of budget, and it's difficult to try and make money off of something. Like me and Robert said, we're not necessarily doing this for the money, and we're doing it because we love it. And, I've loved working on this, and I hope Robert can say the same thing. But the different people that we've met through this, it's definitely been rewarding, and just awesome to see that, because every day we do a film shot, we've seen and met different people at different locations who just will say to us, like, that's really awesome what you're doing. Like, we would love to get involved. So just constantly, like, Robert mentioned it a little bit before, but networking with different people and just making friends, just meeting new people, just putting yourself out there, it can pay back in ways you may not expect. So you just kind of got to trust the process, and just see if you can help out, and maybe someone will help you out too. I know it's kind of vague, but
no, it's important though right now, especially in a city like Detroit, right, where we are a degree of separation maybe from everyone else, right? And I can attest to that. Like the last time we were on location, we were at a bar having a really great time, right next to St. Andrews, and we're talking. There's this regular at the bar, and she's just thrilled. Everybody's masked. People are coming in for takeout, and we're at the very end of the bar, kind of separated from the public, but we can totally, she's asking the bartender, like, that's so cool. People are still filming things. It's amazing. And so to hear that, I think, from people is it's not even just hope, it's like people seeing that the show does still go on, that the films are still being made right now, and proudly, with or without incentives, and that's what filmmakers and artists here in Michigan do. If the money's not there, we make it happen anyway, and I think that's amazing that you guys have so much passion for this project. And with that, I know, Rob, you started writing fairly far about a year ago. Can you tell us a little bit, like, what makes this Batman story for you stand out, maybe, from other tales of the Bat that we've seen before?
Well, I thank you. I think the thing is that we have a lot of different things that are going into this stew. We have an older, but by no means less uh, competent and formidable Batman, but we're dealing with his passing of the baton really to Robin as played by Jack, and Jack coming into his own and leaving the Robin role and becoming Nightwing. If you're for comic book fans, Batman and Robin were the original duo, and then Robin grew into a teenager and then a young adult, and then he left and he became his own hero. Um, and so we're dealing with that story, which I don't think it's rarely been told in film media. I don't think that they've done it in a big budget Hollywood film. I think they've done it on television. We're also dealing with Harvey Dent, Two-Face, which is with a lot more nuance than I think that has been done. I mean, with Batman Forever with Joel Schumacher, the less said about that film, the better. Um, and I think with Nolan's The Dark Knight, we did have a little bit better stuff in the right direction. But I think Nolan tends to be kind of a cold filmmaker. Everything is very clinical, and there were some things that were just off with the interpretation of Harvey Dent, and I take a lot of my cues from the animated series, which I think did it very well, and of course the original comic book. Uh, Source material. And I also, just so that I could play the role, I cited the precedent of Tim Burton's Batman, which had Billy D. Williams as an African American Harvey Dent. And I don't think that the race of the character really informs the character. But I think there are things that can be explored with an African American district attorney, particularly in the post-Trump era, the post-Obama era, and we do delve into some issues about the political rise and fall of an ambitious young black man, and then as his rebirth as a criminal mastermind. Those are some issues that I enjoy dealing with as a writer, director, and actor. So we've got some things, and of course the beautiful cityscape of Detroit. That it just screams Gotham City right there, then and there. You don't have to do any CGI for that, and we know that. Zack Snyder for the Batman versus Superman. They all flocked here when we had the incentives to do Wayne Manor and other Gotham, I believe other parts of Gotham City. But it's just using what you got. It's an urban fairy tale. And you just have a lot of fun with the characters. I guess this is something that maybe Nick might get into a little bit more, but I also wanted to explore the origins of Robin as a non-white character, but as a member of the Roma. He in more recent comics they have gone into that, and I think that makes him far more interesting and challenging to depict.
Yeah, I mean, this has actually come up not just with Friendly Fire, but actually recently people have been talking about the fact that there is a show on Disney Plus, which people may have watched. I don't know. It's called WandaVision, and one of the main characters in that, Wanda Maximoff, in the comics is Roma and Jewish. There are actually a number of characters who are like that, and Nightwing is one of them. And often, cards on the table, I also have been involved in this production in a cultural thing because I'm Roma. So one of the things that is part of Dick Grayson's character is that he is Roma. And often it's just sort of mentioned. So in Friendly Fire, we've been including more to bring that out, to make that part of the discussion of the character and of things like identity. There's also another thing in that Lex Luthor is, there's elements there, not for Lex being Roma, but Lex's Jewish identity and how that can inform and how that can be a part of the discussion of how a character works. And I think these are actually, film is great for this because it's a longer time to discuss something and it allows for themes to be developed over a course of like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. So yeah, I'm pleased to be consulting on this film for that.
Yes.
Definitely. And I'm just curious, as a Batman fan, there's when we hear about the Roma identity, usually it's brought up with Dick's parentage, right? That his family were in the circus. That was how they could, basically where they traveled. What are you, in general, again, have there been challenges to, and I'm just curious about this, when we're exploring identity and maybe challenging some stereotypes or things that have been assumed or pushed to the margins with this kind of identity, and looking, really exploring it. What have you all found or discovered about the character that maybe we haven't seen before?
Jack, you want to take a stab at it?
Yeah. So I would say just kind of given his background and doing more research on the character and just like everything he's been through, I would say just the theme of just kind of abandonment and like fitting in or something that's kind of he's held to his core, and this just kind of something that's been part of his background and his identity. And I'd say that different moments so far in our film, Nick mentioned a moment with Lex Luthor, and different relationships are kind of triggered and kind of based on this kind of are you with me, are you not, kind of loyalty, and kind of looking for someone to stay with him. I did some background research, and we have something about a seance and fortune telling in there as well. That's an interesting scene that's kind of Dick kind of looking back on his heritage and kind of looking back on the past. And I think it's just been kind of, I don't know, I guess a motivating factor, I guess, for my character to find his own place and become his own person, because this is something that he struggled with, not only just him, but I would say some of his culture as well.
Yes. Yeah, I think the thing is that it's just an added bit of friction that you get with Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Dick Grayson. You just there isn't something where it wouldn't be easy, I think, with any adolescent being adopted after, having a whole family life and having a whole career. He's been working since he was 2 years old and could do the trapeze. And it just so happened that Batman needed a partner who could take to the streets and to the fighting and acrobatics very quickly. But I think Dick has always had an independent mind, and he's like, I don't want to do this forever, and I certainly don't want to necessarily become you. I don't want to be your understudy. I don't want to have to become Batman one day. But that also sort of ties into the other theme that I sort of deal with in terms of besides being dealing with outsiders, dealing with coming of age, and how we become our parents, even if we want to try to run away from the obvious. my father is a retired judge, and there's been sometimes comparisons between what I've done as a profession and what he has done, and we have had some heated discussions over where he thought that I was going and what as I get older, I can kind of see more of where he was coming from. But there's still things that we have strong differences on. I think that's something, when you have a parent in a very powerful personality, coupled with being in a field of power, the law and the judiciary, you try to really figure out your own identity. It could have been I would have had a much easier time probably just going a similar path, just going to law school and following in his footsteps. But I don't know if it would have been my life. And it wouldn't be something that I could, comment on. And I wouldn't want to be 50 and say, "Oh my goodness, what did I do? Why did I not? Why didn't I take a chance and live, more honestly and take the risk?" So I can look back on my life and I can say I'm glad I took the risks. I'm glad I didn't take the easier road, and you don't want to look back and have regrets. That's kind of a good way to think of things.
I totally understand that. That actually brings us to our next question. What a beautiful segue, talking about getting there and not having regrets. So one thing that I know about you, because I'm magical, no, because it was in your bio, I'm not magical, is that one of your interests is coming of age stories. It's kind of a two-parter question real quick. One, is there a coming of age story that particularly resonates with you? And the second part of that question would be, why coming of age stories in particular, as opposed to, say, the hero's journey?
Well, it's a good. That's a very interesting question, and I was just thinking of Peter Pan. It's not something that had occurred to me consciously, but unconsciously, the story of Peter Pan is about, a magical boy, very talented boy who would not grow up and is afraid of, taking on, becoming a pirate, becoming Captain Hook, and, becoming what adults do, having to basically stop playing and go to work and I think, it's just an interesting story that, even though Peter Pan has, some admirable qualities, he can fly, he's a top-notch fighter, he's a leader, he's also very, very selfish. He, in the story, he kills pirates and he forgets about them the next day, and he doesn't care when his lost boys die. He's very selfish and cruel to Wendy, and he expects everybody to love him regardless of how he is. So, that's just very boyish behavior. And the antithesis of that is Captain Hook, who is an adult, and he can't fly. He's ugly, he's whatever, but he does have things that Peter Pan doesn't have. I mean, he's got the rank of captain, and he is he's a leader of men, not boys, and he still has fighting prowess, and he there are sometimes some things that he is a sort of a dark father figure to Wendy, a rival to Peter, I guess that of course a very interesting film twisting that on its ear is Hook, with the late Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman. What happens when Peter Pan does grow up, and it shows that there are good things and bad things. The good things are you get to have a family of your own, and you get to be responsible, and you know, you get to pass on the stories to your children and grandchildren. It's not something you can, you know, you don't have to, you know, you don't have to be a 50-year-old adolescent. But the bad things are that, you know, for a while, you know, Peter Pan is still kind of self-absorbed in his career, and he's lost the magic of childhood, and he has to, you know, sort of be reminded of that with Captain Hook coming back into his life.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, people, particularly in the arts, there's a lot of prolonged adolescence. You know, it can be a double-edged sword, because it can make a lot of beautiful work, but then it can also be a lot of very difficult for your friends, loved ones, family, because it's like, well, you know, if you're not making a living, or if you're you know, you're dealing with mental illness, or you're dealing with this, that, and the other thing, you know, it's like, well, but he or she made such beautiful art. Does it really matter? Or on the flip side, you know, with the advent of separating the art from the artist, like, you know, Bill Cosby and others who are just, you know, they make lots of things that make us laugh or cry, but then they're demonic in their personal lives. There is a question of, you know, when is it, when do you finally mature and take responsibility for your own actions in your life? So that's why coming of age stories are interesting to me, because I'm still coming of age. I'm still trying to grow up,
Right.
and as opposed to the hero's journey, like alone, you know, sort of like the lone wolf, or going on. Again, it's just sort of personal preference. It's my own. You know, if I had a different upbringing, maybe I would have liked the hero's journey. You know, the traditional whatever. But I use my art to work through my own things. So,
Sure.
you
And
know.
we're really grateful to see both. You know, I think that, you know, I see Batman Friendly Fire as a blending of the two, not so much as separating. You know, we see a hero's journey with Dick deciding to be his own human being instead of the shadow of the man who is adopted, and perhaps in your show or your film, I've seen a take that I don't see often, where we question Batman's accumulation of things and stuff. I wonder, in yours, it seems like we see Dick as perhaps feeling like one of those possessions, and I really appreciate that you all take the time and to discuss that nuance. And before we go, everybody, this has been a fantastic conversation. I just want to say thank you again, everybody. But we have one more big question we always ask everybody. We are a theater of shadows, so we love horror movies. And I know we've already heard a few, like, for example, you mentioned the Tim Burton Batman films, but I totally count those as early horror flicks, man, or like 80s, 90s horror flicks. Campy, wonderful, they count. But I'd love to ask each of you, what is one of your favorite horror movies? What made you, whether or not you like the genre, whether you're passionate about it, or it's just sort of fun for Halloween, what horror movie really makes you just jump every time, or you just love to put it on? Maybe Jack?
You want me to go? Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if it's really like, I think it's kind of, it was at least horror to me, was I saw Split. And that to me just kind of was kind of crazy with all the different personalities. And then it was really just kind of like dark, like low lighting, I remember too, throughout the entire film. So I just thought that was just kind of, yeah, that one just kind of got me at the different points when you just kept changing. I was just like, wow, like, what if I met this person on the street? Like, what would happen?
And which one? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
McAvoy, just absolutely. I think it's one of the best things we've seen from Shyamalan in years. And definitely, James McAvoy can do no wrong. He's just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Jack. Robert, same question.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Nightmare, the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, just getting introduced to Freddy Krueger. That was a lot of that was a lot of fun. I was not really much of a horror film watcher coming up, and so I just kind of, for my own film knowledge, started watching a few horror films in there. But yeah, that for my money was pretty good.
Awesome. Oh, great answers. We're huge fans here, so it's a given. Any other thoughts for our guests, Nick, Tori, before we hop off?
I think it's going to be really interesting just to see how Friendly Fire goes. It was lovely to speak with both of you. So I think I think it's a really fun project, and I'm pleased to be involved in it, and really looking forward to seeing it when it's put together.
I second that emotion. I don't know if this is the angle that you all see, but I hope you do, because I second that emotion. I can't wait to see it. I think it's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. And honestly, Gremlins be damned. We made it work. I do not care what they tried to do in those little wires. I am so glad that we made it work. Thank you so much for joining us. We do this every month, and every month I'm just like, y'all are awesome. And you didn't even see in the chat that somebody said that we have the best guests. So that's like 4 episodes.
But we do, though. It's this network. I love that, honestly, you said it earlier, Rob, about network. It's something about, that's why we started this show in the first place. Michigan artists, man, we have this extra little thing, this grit that happens, and it's amazing to watch it at work. So, yeah, super stoked. And Ibis will do its part along with Mark. As you guys are putting out more details, we will absolutely share the love, let people know where and when they can start seeing Batman Friendly Fire. Again, coming out probably closer to fall, but wrapping up filming midsummer. So thank you again, Robert and Jack, for joining us today. We're so thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, gents. All right.
Okay.
Before we go, ladies and gentlemen, we have an announcement for you all.
We called this the combo platter because we're actually talking about more than one thing today.
Oh man!
That's what we're talking about.
I thought it was because we had 2 guests. It's because we have more than one topic.
Well, it's a multifaceted title. That's the beauty of it.
It's a party platter. Thus, it's just
It's one of those humongous subs.
It's the best. I love it. All the double entendre and meanings, and it's so punny. I'm a fan of those things. So, y'all out there, we have an announcement for you. Our feature show that we are doing, our feature production coming up, is called Gratuity Not Included. Blah, 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 blah. So let me tell you, guys, I am so excited. I cannot wait to do this. So this is a new kind of live production where we are asking you, audience members, to contribute to the production of the show. So you see the website scrolling around on the bottom of the screen. It's called shadowoftheibis.com/GNI. You can go there to fill out a submission. If you are in the restaurant industry, if you are front of the house, back of the house, management, it don't matter. You work in the kitchen, you work as a hostess, you work as a bartender, you work as a server. It doesn't matter. Bus guy, bar back, all the things, all of the restaurant stuff. We want
chain restaurants, fast food, whatever.
Chain restaurants, fast foods, all different kinds, like the industry.
Bring it on.
I was a server for 13 years, server and bartender for 13 years. I've only not been serving and bartending in the last year. Thank you, COVID. So we know what we mean when we say the industry. We know we have stories, all the kinds of stories, the good stories, the bad stories, the stories about the terrible managers, the stories about the amazing managers, the stories about the regulars, the stories about the kitchen caught on fire one day. That's actually my story. The kitchen caught on fire in one of the restaurants I worked in. That's a real life story. That's what I want to hear from you guys. And no fear. You can absolutely remain anonymous if it's something that you want to, not names, dates, and times will be changed to protect the innocent. We all know the drill. And throughout this process, we'll be accepting submissions up until the end of February. And throughout this process, we will be letting you know on this same website, shadowoftheibis.com/GNI, how it's going. We're going to update you. So you have full transparency about this show from beginning to end, from appetizers to desserts, y'all.
Ooh, I love it. I'm so excited. First of all, I'm so excited that you, Victoria, are at the captain's helm, taking this on directorial debut-ish. It's not debut, but it's you're at the helm. I'm so excited for this. And what I'd love to throw out there is that what I'm really excited for your perspective, from your perspective, is to also include a cast of, we're looking at about 6 people. A cast of former restaurant or current restaurant, or currently this is the side hustle, or one of 3 side hustles, or whatever, to perform in this show. We are completely going with, again, the reminder that a lot of us in the arts, we've done some time in the service industry at some point. So this is an amazing opportunity to share and connect and really give voice to the people who are serving our dishes, who are going ahead and creating those moments for us without giving lip service. I think, for one, we're tired of hearing the words industry heroes when it's convenient. This is the moment we want to go ahead and hear the actual stories from people who are really, doing this work. All of us. So I love it, Tori. I'm so excited, babes.
I can't wait.
Yeah, this is such an exciting project because, as Luna and Tori have both mentioned, all 3 of us have worked in the industry. I've mostly worked as a chef because you don't really want my clumsy ass bringing you food. My voice lets me do, oh yes, I see you have a booking. So I've done a little of that, but mostly I've been a chef. So, we all have that experience. We all know the stories are there. We want to share them.
Yes, we do. And by the way, y'all, we already have a submission. We already have people giving us those stories because we know you want to tell them. And it's a good one. I can't wait to share these with you safely, protectedly, and in a way that we can all learn and grow, maybe laugh a little bit, maybe even influence some change. Who knows? Do some amazing things with some art, with some amazing people. So.
Love it, guys. Very exciting. Well, I think we're almost there, and people, speaking of combo platters, have party trays to assemble to look like stadiums or whatever it is people do for Pinterest on Super Bowl Saturday, Sunday. But I just really would quickly want to say thank you again to our amazing guests for coming through. Those who may not have noticed that we had technical difficulties, they killed it and had some amazing just conversations in general. So a great time to come together and just to see some friendly peeps, y'all. I'm excited. Thank you again for chilling on a Sunday.
Thanks, everybody. Oh, and let us know. We want your feedback. Today was a 5 o'clock show instead of a 6 o'clock show. If you prefer 5 to 6 o'clock, put a comment in the chat or in the comments below. Let us know. Send us an email. Send us a message. Put it at the bottom of your submission for gratuity not included. In any way you'd like to let us know that you prefer 5, and we'll start doing it at 5.
Woo.
For you, y'all.
I mean, yeah, we can't stay up past bedtime, y'all. It's a Sunday.
Right? Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
Beyond the Ghostlight.